Alright guys, today I want to talk about Nike's very first innovation, the Waffle sole. So Nike got started as a company in 1972, and their very first shoes with waffle soles came out in 1973. So let me take you back to that time. Nike was founded by Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight, and Bill Bowerman was a running coach at University of Oregon, and Phil Knight was one of his runners. And so they came together and decided that they were going to revolutionize the running shoe industry. The first innovation was the Waffle sole. Let me break out this amazing pair of kicks right here. This is an original box. That's the very first Nike logo on there. When this came out, people read it as Mike, and they used to say, "Who's Mike?" Funny thing about that is 13 years later in 1985, everyone knew who Mike was. But the cursive Nike, people read it as Mike. So this is an original box. On the box top it says, Nike sports shoes are manufactured to the exact specification of champion athletes throughout the world. You may recognize that verbiage from the tongues of other Nike models. They've stayed true to that quote. It continues and says, continued research and constant development are responsible for the athletes of the 70s changing to Nike. And then it's got this really cool pinwheel design. On the inside here, 23 different pairs of Nike shoes are listed, which is the shoes that were made in 1973. So these are Oregon Waffles. You can see that they're green and yellow. These shoes have been in this box for 40 years, so that's what accounts for them being squished. This is what they look like when I sort of pull the tongue out. These are in absolutely pristine condition. I bought them on eBay. The second high bidder was actually Nike, and the seller that sold me these obtained them at Goodwill. How crazy is that? They're at Goodwill. They come across this pair of brand new Oregon Waffles in the box. The other pair is just as perfect as the other shoe. Look at that. So University of Oregon colors are green and yellow, and that's another thing that makes this shoe special is it's the Oregon Waffle in University of Oregon colors. You'll see over here the box actually came with the original tissue. This tissue isn't even torn. It's like crazy. These shoes were in a time capsule somewhere in Oregon and ended up in Goodwill. So I bought them on eBay. They're one of my favorite pairs in the whole collection, and they represent the really, really early days of Nike. So what is the Waffle sole? Let's have a look at the bottom of this shoe. You'll see little nubs on it, and the Waffle sole was dreamt up by Bill Bowerman, one of the co-founders of Nike, and he wanted to create shoes that gripped the ground better. So he waited until his wife left the house. He grabbed her waffle iron and he started pouring rubber into it to try to create this pattern on the bottom of shoes so they grip the ground better. So this is a waffle iron that I bought on eBay. Check this out. These waffle irons were given to the top executives at Nike in 1990 when Nike opened their world headquarters. So this was never even sold. It says from waffle iron to world headquarters, grand opening, October 1990. It actually opens up. You can make waffles with this thing and plug it in. So let's imagine that we were to pour rubber into this, or pour anything into this for this matter. I've got these mini waffles. Of course, they're not the size that would come out of a waffle iron like this, but for our purposes, they're perfect. So look at a waffle. A waffle is designed to catch syrup. It doesn't have anything that would grip anything. It has exactly the opposite, something that would catch something. So Bowerman created a waffle and thought, okay, I need to invert this pattern. So what he did was he poured concrete into the waffle iron. He had basically a concrete waffle that he would then pour the rubber into, peel that right on out, and then boom, you've got your rubber waffle soles. This right here is going to be an example of what those waffle soles look like before they even make it onto a pair of shoes. So, imagine pouring concrete in here, having a mold, pouring rubber into that, and sort of lifting this off, and this would become the sole of a pair of these waffle shoes. So I've got these original waffle soles before they ever even made it onto shoes, along with this really cool waffle iron. And one of the amazing exhibits in the ShoeZeum dedicated to waffles was the Waffle wall, where we had 36 pairs of retro Waffles. They're in red and black. They're made to look vintage. A shoe like this is amazing because it's a retro, so you can wear it, and it's not going to fall apart like a shoe that might have been made 40 or so years ago. But basically, we had 36 pairs of these. They were shrink-wrapped and then Velcroed onto the ceiling, so it looked like shoes were running up the ceiling. We used Velcro to attach the shrink-wrap shoes to the ceiling, and from time to time they would fall down. And so every day before I opened up the ShoeZeum, I'd have to get on a ladder, put some new Velcro on, put them back up on the ceiling. And when I had guests at the ShoeZeum, I was always hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that they wouldn't get knocked in the head with a pair of Waffles. Anyway, these Waffles can be found on eBay. You can go on eBay and search for Waffle Wall ShoeZeum, and you can buy a pair of these shoes and wear them, and you'll get to feel like the athletes did in the early 70s. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.